Hello everyone, and welcome to my end of season review. We had an absolutely fantastic season in the PDL Season 3, and I kind of just want to go over it. So, for those who haven't been keeping track of the matches, we ended up finishing 7-3, which puts us at rank 6 on the league. Of course, this is going from before we do bracket. So bracket's a whole separate thing, that's postseason. So I just want to give my final thoughts on the season. So again, if you've been living under a rock, my Pokemon this season were Electrode, Palafin, Primeape, Kyogre, Hisuian Arcanine, Meowth, Skiploom, Basculegion Male, Florges, Snorunt, and Shuppet. As you can see here, we have the stat distribution of all of them. My most played Pokemon were Arcanine and Kyogre, each coming to 8 total sets. Where I know I brought them every week, right? Or essentially every week. I think Arcanine missed out on a week or two, if I remember correctly. It's hard to keep track. But those are the games they played in, because I didn't bring in Kyogre for every set, despite bringing it. With Florges being second, and then Basculegion being third. Kyogre was my highest kill this season, which is some unsurprising. It's the legend of the season for me. But I'm actually surprised that Arcanine was picking up a majority of the KOs after that. Then for third place, we had Florges with 9 kills, and then Basculegion and Electrode tie for fourth for kills, which was kind of surprising to me. I didn't think Electro will get that many kills, and I'm actually surprised Basculegion did get that low amount of kills. That comes from the fact that, well, Basculegion is not exactly the bulkiest Pokemon, and is quite easy to counter when you know it's coming. A very hard-hitting Pokemon, but just a Pokemon I couldn't get that many kills. Primeape showed up for one game and did absolutely nothing, which I think is to be expected. We're in a... Hold on, I need to fix my chair. We're in a season where we have legendaries on the field, right? So a very middle-of-the-road physical attacker isn't going to cut it much, especially when most people pick special attacking legendaries. So they have physical bulk, and they have special attacking. The Primeape wasn't really that useful, unfortunately. But I think that will be a very convenient transition into just looking at the team as a whole. Right? I did this last season, I'll do it this season as well. Kyogre kind of surprised me, in a way. I knew it is a very strong and very main focus of VGC when it's legal. But it kind of surprised me on how much speed control really factored into Kyogre's success. I mean, I saw this a lot when I wasn't running the Choice Scarf on Kyogre. Its base 90 speed, just let it get taken advantage of when it could, because it only has base 90 defense. It's not the bulkiest Pokemon in the world when it comes to physical defense. So you really need to stay on top of your speed control with Kyogre, and I don't think I was doing that much early on, which is why I felt like Kyogre wasn't doing as much early on as it did later in the season, when I started running more Choice Scarf variants of Kyogre. Absolutely amazing pick. I'm glad I drafted this Pokemon. That not can be said for Palafin, however. I mean, if we go back to the stats, I only brought Palafin 3 times throughout the entire season. It's weird, right? Because you think it'd make such a great partner for Kyogre. It's a rain Pokemon. Switches out a lot. And I'd love to bring Palafin more. It's just that I never really felt like I needed it. So, it's kind of hard to explain, because Palafin is absolutely an insane Pokemon in Hero Mode. And the problem I ended up finding is, with every single opponent having a legendary of some sort, I always felt very, like it was in a very tough situation to bring Palafin into the match. Because I'm losing momentum with Palafin, right? I'm always losing momentum. I always have to switch it out. Or I could do that thing I did against 9 with the close combat and eject pack. But the point is that Palafin loses momentum for me. And in a format that has legendaries on the other side of the field, I don't think it was worth it. Now, I don't know how many other S tier Pokemon were left. Let's see. So we had Brute Bonnet, Dondozo, Dragonite, Garganacl, Iron Moth, Iron Valiant, King Gambit. King Gambit never got picked, huh? I guess that makes sense. Well, I mean, not that makes sense, but I'm kind of surprised. Volcarona didn't get picked. I'm looking at the draft board. I probably would have wanted something else, like maybe Dragonite or King Gambit for physical bulk would have done much better for my team, because something that I felt time and time again while playing through this season is I lacked physical bulk, right? We have Kyogre, we have Florges, who are massive special defense walls, but they're physically frail. And if I was facing down an opponent that has a physical move, I either had to switch him out into Arcanine, or if Arcanine was already on the field, there was no way to get Florges and Kyogre out of there, because the Pokemon in the back were equally as defensively frail, like Electrode or Skiploom, which is Skiploom. Palafin isn't bad as a physical defense, but it just never felt like I was worth bringing it. So, if there's one thing I could change about the draft, I'd have probably grabbed a different S-tier Pokemon. But other than that, Palafin was a very fun Pokemon to use on a rain team. If I had to give it a fun factor, it would get a 10 out of 10, because I absolutely loved bringing it when I did. But the problem is, the cost factor was a little too high for me, so I never ended up bringing it. Hisuian Arcanine just blew me out of the water. It's my D tier pick, and I'd say it makes sense for a B tier pick. This thing is not as bulky as regular Arcanine. That dual typing really hurts it. So it's got 2 4x weaknesses now, and a few new weaknesses. But it keeps all of Arcanine's original moveset, and it gets Rockhead. So, as you saw throughout the season, I ran a few different sets of Arcanine. I ran Supportive Arcanine, I ran Bulky Arcanine, I ran Choice Band Arcanine. Arcanine was just very versatile. It allowed me to get it into a situation where I needed it. It was often my Terra choice because of its bad typing. But because of that, I just was able to slot Arcanine in however I wanted it. So this was a again, another Pokemon that I absolutely loved that I drafted. I would not trade out Arcanine for a different B tier Pokemon. Next up, we have the sweeper from C tier, Florges. Now, Florges was absolutely insane this season. The special bulk it provided the team was absolutely fantastic. And while it didn't end up doing much later in the season, as people became more and more aware of how I was using Florges, the Calm Mind set worked wonders early on in the season. The Terra Grass, meaning it's pretty much immune to things. The utility of Flower Veil was just absolutely insane. Because of Terra, this thing is absolutely insane for C tier, giving any Pokemon I want immunities to status drops and secondary effects. Like, yeah, it's just secondary effects, right? Status lowered or status inflicted. Absolutely great. Because it meant I wouldn't have to run like safety goggles on Arcanine or Covert Cloak or slash ability what was it? I forget what the other one is. Covert Cloak and what's it? Not Ability Shield. Clear Amulet. Clear Amulet. That's the one that prevents your stats from getting lowered. And so Florges just providing me that option of preventing a Pokemon from taking stat drops was absolutely big. It helped me in my match against Robbie when he tried lowering Arcanine's special defense so it would go down to a Terra boosted Hyper Voice from Zoroark. But because Arcanine was Terra Grass, it didn't get the special defense drop. Overall, though, my one complaint about Florges is it does have a very bad speed stat at only 75. Now, I worked around this several times throughout the season with Choice Scarf. I mean, not Choice Scarf, but with Tailwind Skip Loom. But when I come to threats like when I faced down Steezy Snorlax's Baxcalibur, they Terra Steeled and O-Code Florges because Florges' defense stat is only 68. Florges' defense is awful. But Florges often would get overwhelmed by Pokemon that were simply faster than it. Which makes sense. That's how it's somewhat balanced out with its 154 special defense. Though I am 100% trying to grab Florges in the future if I can, because this thing is a monster for Terra Draft Leagues. Next up we have probably the riskiest pick of my draft. For those who don't know, Hisuian Electrode was actually a free agent of mine. If we go to rosters real quick. Hisuian Electrode was my first free agent pick. And this was very risky because it meant that I locked myself into having to get two untiered free agents. Which of course was Snorunt and Shuppet. Because what I could have done instead is if I could have gotten 2 C tiers and 2 D tiers if I wanted to. So grabbing Hisuian Electro was putting a lot of pressure on it. And I'd say it delivered quite well. Hisuian Electrode actually pairs up really well with Kyogre. That Rain makes its Thunders never miss, which really helps when its special attack is only 80. It really does need that boost. Most of the time I ran it with Specs because, again, it really needs that special attack boost. But being the fastest thing in the format allows me to just get off a Thunderbolt or a Thunder, or really anything. Most of the time I just ran it with Thunder or Thunderbolt. And I never really saw anything else to use. It's unfortunate thing about Electrode is its not stats, but its move options aren't great. And it has grassy terrain, which would be nice. But I'd lose momentum for doing that, and plus since Electrode's not that bulky anyway, I'd be giving up Electrode just to set up grassy terrain, which isn't worth it, in my opinion. And I'd have loved to use this thing as a dual screen setter, but it only gets Reflect. Now, Reflect isn't bad for my team because of the fact that, like I said, I'm so physically frail. But unfortunately, most of my threats this season were special attackers, which was great for Florges and Kyogre. But it meant that I couldn't run Reflect on Electrode because I'd get no use out of it. However, it's still an incredibly good move to have. Who knows, maybe I'll use it someday. So I'd say Electrode was definitely worth the risk factor of taking it on as a free agent. Okay. I already mentioned Primeape, so I'm not going to stay too long on this, but Primeape was my, I think, D tier pick, right? Yeah, D tier. And looking back on the draft board, I feel like there are much better options I could have taken. I think. Hold on, let me look for a D tier. Magneton was something I wanted to get, but me and Ninja were talking, and I mistakenly thought he was insinuating that he wanted to take Magneton, so I decided I'll let him have it since I felt like I'd grab Primeape again. And I regret it, man. I should have taken Magneton. A Steel type would have benefited my team a lot. And it's just another Pokemon that could take advantage of the rain set up by Kyogre. But unfortunately, this was, words. Unfortunately, Primeape wasn't a free agent, so I couldn't swap it out for Magneton, but if it was, I would have. Because not Tinkaton. Why was I saying Tinkaton? Primeape just did not put in any effort this season, and I never felt like I needed to bring him because 105 attack does not justify 65 base HP, 60 defense, and 70 special defense. Eviolite boosts that defense up a bit, but it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Next up, the Pokemon I thought would do more but didn't. Basculegion Male. Now, again, I straight up don't regret taking Basculegion Male. Having it sit with Kyogre is an incredibly cool idea to do. I didn't use that combo much throughout the season, as you probably saw, because I just never... What's this? I never felt like I could make it work. Because Basculegion and Kyogre are the biggest combo-looking part of my team. And so, team prep obviously is going to be built in to try and take on with some electric moves, some grass moves. And I could Terra one of them. But that just means that I have to give up Terra just to prevent my Pokemon from dying. Now, Basculegion has some incredibly strong moves. Wave Crash is absolutely insane. It has Aqua Jet for priority. Freaking, what's it called? Last Respects is insane. Now, it only goes up to 200 power in this game. I mean, not 200. Is it? I guess it goes up to 200. It gains 50 F, so 50. So it only goes up to 200 in doubles, but the problem is that in doubles, frailty is a lot more noticeable. So Basculegion's piss-poor defensive stats do make it very likely to just die before it can even get off that super powerful Last Respects at the end. However, I do wish... My single biggest regret of the season is not bringing the rain combo more. Because as my season developed, I ended up falling into a core of Kyogre, Florges, and Arcanine. And Electro Hisui as well. That was my main core 4 for the latter half of the season. I just felt like they covered each other very well. And then, so it just felt like Basculegion was just being added onto this team, and I feel like I kind of underestimated Basculegion towards the end of the season, where I just never felt like I could bring it. So if I could bring Basculegion again throughout the season, I'd probably have brought it more. It's not like I didn't bring it, it's just I didn't use it. Which I do regret. I feel like I could have used Basculegion more. Meowth, Meowth, Meowth. Oh boy, Meowth. This little guy is possibly my favorite pick of the draft. I only brought him to 2 sets, but god damn it, it was great when I did. So, Meowth gets Fake Out, of course. So, give it... And Technician to boost that up to 60 base power. No, that's not right. Increase it by its damage by 50%. Give it a normal gem. Max attack. It was doing like quarter HP to some Pokemon with Fake Out. And this thing's a Meowth. Only 45 base attack. Like, I know some of those Pokemon were very defensively frail, but still. And then, of course, running Last Resort on it as well. Fake Out Last Resort was an incredibly fun set that got a few surprising kills. And just the option of Fake Out is very useful for a team. It doesn't matter how frail the Pokemon is. Having that one turn of advantage can be very helpful when you have some hard-hitting Pokemon on your team like Kyogre, who can strike back with hitting the opponent with a what's it called? Water Spout to hit both targets, so it's not like you're losing value on bringing Meowth. So I absolutely love Meowth. And Meowth was my, if I check again, Meowth was my untiered pick. And I feel like I absolutely got him for a steal. Speaking of a steal, Skiploom, down in D tier. Whew. Skiploom gave me access to Tailwind, Rage Powder, Sleep Powder. I mean, wait, no, I don't think Electro gets Sleep Powder. Anyway, Skiploom helped my team in a pinch where I needed to rely on the slower mons of my team in Florges and Arcanine. Having Tailwind as an option is always amazing. It gave me that supportive mon that I just needed for the team. And of course I didn't always bring Skiploom. And in those games where I didn't, I feel like I should have. Because Skiploom is, I think, a very underrated support mon when talking about a draft league. Because it gives you that Tailwind for a low price. It gives you Rage Powder for an extremely low price. Like other Rage Powders like Volcarona and Amoonguss are in S tier. And Fungus is in B tier. So, just that option of Rage Powder was pretty good, I'd say. Yeah. Last up, the two unfortunate souls. Snorunt gets a pass because it's my mascot for the team. I don't really say it a lot, but my team is the Snowpoint Snowrunts. You've seen the logo every time I'm on the stock, but yeah. Snorunt's my mascot, I just had to pick it. As for Shuppet, though, I had a plan with Shuppet, and I just never got to do it. When I was looking at the remaining Pokemon of the draft board, I wanted a Pokemon that could potentially have a priority move. And not just that, a priority move that Basculegion was weak to. You're seeing where this is going, right? I wanted to one day, during one of the sets, bring Weakness Policy Basculegion. The problem, Shuppet does too much damage. I didn't realize when I got it that Shuppet's base attack is 75. It's a sock puppet. How does it have this much attack? So even with 0 IVs, a minus attack nature, and 0 EV investment into attack, Basculegion was still taking a quarter from Shadow Sneak. Now that's also to go into the fact that Basculegion's defensive stats aren't great either. So of course, Shuppet will be doing a lot of damage. But man, I was so upset that I just never could bring that idea because of how much damage Basculegion would take. But anyways, that is the team review for PDL Season 3. What were your guys' favorite sets for these Pokemon? Which Pokemon do you think I was underrating for the team? Let me know. What was your favorite Pokemon of the draft? But anyways, I will see you all next time. Peace.